Good afternoon, everyone. ครับ I am ทรงประกรณ์ ผู้หนองโอง from ReadRing. I really miss sitting with you and learning something new and also have inspiration from learning from other startup and researchers. But due to the COVID-19, we have to stay home and look through the screen to see each other. The ReadRing is actually a mission to help blind people see, because mostly blind people access information by touching with their hands. There can be like audio, text, or on-screen reader, but it doesn't give them comprehension as much as reading. So that's why we need to invent ReadRing. There are also Braille technology that came before ReadRing. I will discuss later. Okay, for next slide. Here is our team. We are a very small company with 3 people with various expertise. Me as a technical engineer, and Miss Risa is a business owner. She had a degree in laws of business, and also a researcher, my friend, Kun Sanurak, who cannot attend today. And in the next slide, I will talk about the inspiration. My parents are like missionaries who started Mission for the Blind 40 years ago. And my father also was a blind teacher who founded his foundation to let other blind people in Thailand to have better education and better life opportunities. Now we have more than 10 schools, charity schools, countrywide. It can be called the largest foundation for the blind in Thailand. And in the next slide, he already passed away 2 years ago, just before I finished the first prototype of ReadRing. And here's why. Since I grew up in the school for the blind, and I live with blind students, so I know how much it costs to make the Braille accessible to them. For a student to read books in school, they need to have it printed in Braille, or if we can afford a Braille display for them, but it still costs them a few 100,000 baht. That's a whole year's salary for working people. So that's why they are very limited access to this kind of Braille media, and the printers are also very expensive. That's why I came up with this idea of having more affordable solution to let the blind people have access to information, knowledge, and in their work. So in the next slide, it's the cost of reading Braille. My father did some research in the cost, the overall cost of reading. So comparatively, the Braille display is a bit cheaper than using printed Braille media. But we want ReadRing to be even more affordable, and it should cost them around $3 per one book to be read in Braille. And in the next slide, I guess we have the overall overview of how blind people can access information, whether in listening or in reading. And in the lowest, on the bottom arrow, you see that the ReadRing will shortcut the access to technology with AI and mechanical invention. The AI we are using is generally available. It's an open source AI called computer vision that recognizes text on paper and then translated them to Braille. In the next slide, I came up with an idea of ReadRing. It's actually a device that works with an application on smartphone that detects text on paper or screen, and then it will convert text to Braille, and it will send the signal to the Braille display to the right on your screen. Why the display is rotating? Because we can reduce the size of the Braille display by like many times, and also we can reduce the cost of production, so it can be 10 times cheaper than ordinary Braille display, the long format one, but it feels the same as when you read Braille paper. So in the next slide, just after my father passed away, I finished the first working prototype. And in the next slide, we will have there's the overview of it. We have rotation sensor, we have actuators, which modified from the relays I could buy at that time. And we have a small computer and camera to recognize the image of text on the paper, and it will translate it to the Braille display with my patented dipeptic mechanism. And the next will be the video of how we tested it with the students. Oops. Is it playing?
Not.
Yes, that's right.
Oh, my wife's. It's reading from the paper.
Y E T ลูก
And it also reads from electronic text. Okay, next we have Dr. Risa, who was one of my father's favorite students. She explained about why do blind people need to read Braille and why ReadRing. Please, Risa.
Hello. First of all, I'd like to take all of you back to the problems of being blind. Being blind is not easy. It's really difficult when it comes to reading. Normally, when you read, you use your eyes and you can scan along the papers and you read the characters. But being blind, if you want to read a book, you need a person to type from the book into a digital file and transfer into Braille paper before you can read. So there are many processes of one book, of printed book translated into Braille book, and that Braille book is really huge, it's gigantic. When I was young, when I was about grade 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I had to carry big books to school every day, and that is not healthy for young people. When I come to the older age, university level, I transfer from reading Braille because it costs a lot to produce Braille book, and it's heavy to bring books into university. So I changed it to synthetic voice. I had to listen to law books, which has around like 10,000 pages, and I had to skim and find what I want to read, which is very difficult. And sometimes the synthetic voice didn't read it correctly, and it doesn't actually pronounce the things correctly. And comes to that, I didn't know how to spell a proper words. Though from time to time, I have to go back to the blind school and ask them to print Braille books for me, because it's very unhealthy and unprofessional to type something incorrectly. And when Kun Songpakorn came to me and introduced the ReadRing to me, I sort of, at my first reaction, I didn't actually believe it was going to be it was going to be working. So I waited until he came with a first prototype, and I went to see his demonstration at one of the events, and I found that it really works, and it really helps. If it's going to work, it's going to help blind people, especially young children, to read it perfectly and read it without having to carry heavy things around, and be able to read whenever that they want, whatever that they want to read. Because one limitation that blind people have, we don't have much choice to read. Books, especially young children books, we don't have much that for young children to read. Not about we're not gonna talk about textbooks, because that is very hard also. In my younger years, I used to have book after all the exams has been taken, so that was really great limitations that blind people have to face. But with this ReadRing, not just young children will benefit from it, but as an adult, as a working person, you can bring this particular ReadRing, especially the latest prototype version, which is very small. You can bring it around, and you can use it whenever and wherever that you like, along with your mobile phones. Believe me, trust me, blind people, we do have smartphones, and that normally it will read when you activate the voice, it will read it out to you on the screen, but it comes back to the same problem that we don't know how to spell things, and we don't have our own pleasure when we read. So ReadRing will allow us to read when that we like and what that we like to read. So our market size is quite big. There are about 200 million blind people around the world, but our target groups, we're going to focus to those that go to school and in a working age. So it's around 36 million blind people around the world. So you see that our market is quite big, our target group is quite big. How are we going to tackle the market? As Kun Songpakorn mentioned earlier, that he was the product of blind school, and Thailand, we have more than 10 blind schools in our hands to purchase this ReadRing machine to their children. And not only that 10 schools in Thailand, but around the world, we also have good connections with global governing blind organizations, which they call it World Blind Union. World Blind Union, it's a governing body for I think almost 200 countries around the world that have blind associations underneath it. So our and we are going to sell it either online and offline through the specialty shops. And also we're planning to partner with Braille institutions or other institutions and libraries which have blind people studying in their institutions. So that's our market. So I give it back to Kun Songpakorn to continue with the rest.
Okay. Next slide, please. From the previous one, we will see that if we can have people with access to literacy, they can have like more income, more personal annual income, as much as $1,000 for a person to be educated. So that's why literacy is very important for them. So next slide, please. Okay, and then last year we were we saw a link to participation with Planta Thailand 2019. But I saw the link from the winner from year 2018, which was IVET, I think. And then I applied for that, and finally I was selected as the from the winner from Thailand to join the Planta in Singapore. And we also had chance to be selected to join the OTA City Super Factory program, which helps us in making the smaller prototype that is close to production. The funding is up to 5 million yen. And we also have IP attorney service. And we know that the filing a patent in Japan in fast track is very fast, just a few weeks, and we have patents. So I've been receiving very great support from Livanes since last year and until now. But due to COVID, we cannot go to Japan as intended in March. So we have to work from home and see the progress and work remotely. As you will see on the screen, the current prototype is very small. The size is about of a computer mouse, as you see, and the components are ready, and it's waiting to be fixed a little program, and it can be tested with blind students in the university. In the next slide, I think we will see the application development team. We have a specialist from Payap University. They are my friends. And also we have specialists in linguistics. Why we need linguistic people? Because this subject, this knowledge, the knowledge of linguistic people can help the AI to recognize text and sentence correctly and help translation better. And we also have supported from CSR of Microsoft Thailand to develop an application on smartphone. And we are doing it in parallel with prototyping the mechanism, the unit. And in the next slide is the mock-up of the application on the smartphone of how it may look like. This is a sample of how blind people can read on paper with a line tracking mechanism and also the line paragraph detection with ReadRing. And in the next slide, we will have the timeline, the overall timeline. We started this development like 5 years ago, I think. And recently we won the Tech Planta, and we may start pilot production in next year. Actually, I just received an approval from NIA, the prototyping fund, for making like 100 more units for distributing out and be tested with students in blind schools throughout the country. In the next slide, I think that's summarize our journey with Livanes. If you have any questions, please send me PM or post it on the chat. Thank you.
Thank you, Sompakon, again for the presentation, and thank you for highlighting your journey through Tech Planta as well as your forward steps in the next 2 years. In this part, I will be sharing about Tech Planta program, which is one of the solutions that we are providing as Livanes that researchers and startups can benefit from. So Tech Planta is a seed acceleration program for researchers and early startups, as how Tokoe-san has mentioned. We started this in Thailand since 2016. And right now in 2020, this is the 5th year running. As we have been working with deep tech researchers and startups for many years, when startups first started the trends of maybe spinning off and coming out with new technologies, we actually realized that there had been some difficulties that the researchers and startups are facing. So some of the identified ones are actually, number one, seed funding for the research and development. Second, getting business partners to work with them to commercialize or utilize their technologies. And thirdly, prototyping a product sample for maybe a POC or other purposes. So that's why we started Tech Planta program. And through the Tech Planta program, we would like to provide the opportunities for researchers and early stage startups to seek potential funding, business collaborators. So as mentioned by Kun Sopakon about the Ota City prototyping program, we support the collaboration between ASEAN startups and the super factories in Japan to make these prototypes. The PDCA cycle is actually one of the processes that all of us know, and this is something that businesses, especially the large corporations, they use it a lot to ensure the rigor and effectiveness of our operations. So because the PDCA cycle has shown effectiveness, it is also difficult for businesses to move away from their usual way of working to adopt new ideas and also thought processes. So with a lot of changes in today's world, the society faces new issues that need to be solved with new innovations urgently. And we see that a lot of researchers and technology startups are coming up with new ideas and new innovations to solve these issues fast. Yet, without the funding and business partners, they are unable to do this and also make a positive impact on the world. So that's why we would like to support the researchers and startups in researching the unknown and creating something from scratch. All right. So coming to the QPMI cycle, okay, it is something that we are using in Lebanese as well as when we support our clients as well as the startups and researchers that we are communicating with. We call this a QPMI cycle, and we focus on the social issues, which is the Q, the question, that the researchers and startups want to solve and have a passion or determination towards solving this issue. So putting this into a project mission and gathering members for this, they will be able to innovate in the future. And if they succeed, they will contribute novel values and concept to the world. And if it doesn't, they will repeat the cycle, whether to tweak the parts of the QPMI cycle or embark on a new Q, which is the question. So just to give an example of Kun Sompakon's story with the QPMI cycle, we can actually put it into the framework. The question of how visually impaired students can learn better and learn more, and the passion from Kun Sompakon's background and his heart for visually impaired students. Okay, the mission and members come from getting Risa as a member to champion this cause, and the mission is from supporting these students and visually impaired people to learn better. And lastly, the I, which is innovation of the ReadRing device. Okay, so I hope that this actually gives you an idea of what the QPMI cycle is about. Next, so in the Tech Planta program, we are actually establishing a deep tech ecosystems in the countries that we are operating in. So how we do this is actually to gather the deep tech researchers and entrepreneurs who will change the world through their innovation and research. And in doing so, we are working with the private corporates, government agencies, universities, incubators, accelerators, and maker communities to support the researchers and the startups. And Leave a Nest aims to connect these stakeholders with one another for technology to be pushed out to the society so that we can actually make an impact to the community that we want to target. Okay, so the uniqueness of this Tech Planta program is that we focus on supporting deep tech-based technologies, which means any research or innovation that requires research and development. So you have to have some R&D done in your projects or your product, all right? So it can be in biotech, agri-tech, even medtech, or engineering like Kun Sompakons, or even AI. Additionally, we accept teams from any stage. So if you only have an idea, it is also possible as well. And the application is free of charge for all participants. For those who only have an idea, it is also crucial that you try to do some research, desktop research, on how this idea can be expanded into a real project. In that way, we will be able to help you or even support your project in various ways. All right. And one last thing we look for is your drive and passion towards the project and commercialization of your product if you are at that stage, right? And the good thing about this program is that at a very early stage, this program allows you to build trust in relationships from the beginning with the people you will meet, whether it is in this program or after the program. All right, it gives you a starting point of how you should be going about to do things. Okay, next, you will also have the opportunity to pitch your ideas to the top management of multinational corporations. Also, you will have the opportunity to have some prototyping projects with our Japanese super factories. Additionally, also access to network of Leave a Nest globally through us, and also any funding opportunities available. All right, so so these are some of the things that you can look forward to once you are in our network. Next, I would just like to touch on our support system, on how we actually do this support for the early stage startups. So one of our startups that we have been supporting is Micro from Malaysia. So I'm picking him up as a example is because he started as an undergraduate student with a project. And so for him, when he joined Tech Planta Malaysia program in 2015, he was only an undergraduate student, and he brought his final year project, which is to make a 3D printing laser. And he actually didn't receive any awards at the Tech Planta program, but the university he was in actually saw his passion in supporting education through the project. So together, Leave a Nest and the university, we actually supported him to visit super factories in Japan. And from there, he actually got inspiration to start his own business in 2016 and actually he became the pioneer of 3D printer producer in Malaysia. So after that, we actually invited him as our partner for our education platform, which is Science Castle, and promoted his 3D printer there as well. Later, he actually came to Japan again to gain exposure through our programs. And right now, his 3D printer is actually placed at our center of garage in Japan. This center of garage is actually our like a museum to showcase the prototypes that our startups have made so far. So at this moment, Micro has been expanding and also has created the FIRE's ASEAN bomb diffusion robot for the police department in Malaysia. And right now they have raised about 1 million Malaysian ringgit, and Livanes is also investing in them further. So this is how our startups may be able to grow through our platforms that we provide. It also depends on the needs that the startups or researchers come in with. So for Livanes, not all the startups will go through the same process, but they will definitely be able to use some of our platforms and our support to further their business and their journey in terms of starting up. All right. Next, so last year for Planta, we had 20 applications, in which we have 9 finalists and 5 lightning talk speakers who spoke at the event. Yeah, so some of our participants actually joined the Tcells Biotech program as well, concurrently with this Planta program that was held last year. So in this program, they actually awarded the grant from Tcells to continue their research and trials. So if I may bring you through these 2 startups, not startups, but teams. So Panakura is a startup, yes. They aim to actually redefine the treatments for Thai people. And during that time, they needed the funding support for clinical trials and establishment of the platforms to collect Thai people's DNA so that they can actually analyze further. Okay, and PetStem, on the other hand, they were in the phase of clinical trial to heal pets' illnesses through stem cells. So at the moment, they are performing the process in the hospital, IVET, on a patient with cancer. So it's actually a pet dog with cancer right now. Yeah. So next, for the past 2 years, we also gathered the Planta alumni and other startups at the Tech Venture Meetup Thailand event. So this event, the reason why we are holding it is because we would like to expose our startups and Planta alumni to explore collaboration with local and international corporate partners, venture capitals, angel investors, manufacturers, and other potential partners for them to accelerate their business further. So this year, unfortunately, we will not have this Tech Venture Meetup Thailand because of the COVID situation. Yeah. So for the Tech Planta Thailand program right now, it is the demo day itself is scheduled to be held on a Saturday on July 11th at Chatram Residence Saton, Bangkok. So at this moment, it will still be a physical event. And if the COVID-19 situation worsens in the country, we will move it to an online event. All right. And for those who are interested in the program, the application deadline is on 22nd of May, about 1 month from now. Next. So here's the process until the final demo day. The application window will close on 22nd of May, and we have the interview for all the applicants and also the internal screenings. So by 26th of June, we will announce the finalists and the lightning talk speakers and go through the mentoring sessions until 11th of July, where the finalists and lightning talk speakers will pitch at the event. All right, so for the grand prize itself, for this year, The grand winner of Tech Planta Thailand round will receive 3,000 Singapore dollars, 2 return tickets and accommodation to participate in the regional final round in Singapore in November this year. Further on with the regional final round, the grand winner for the regional final round will also receive 3,000 Singapore dollars, 2 return tickets and accommodation to participate at the Hyper Interdisciplinary Conference in Japan next year, where researchers and startups from all over the world and Japanese business personnel will gather as well. So it's kind of like a networking session. Also, you can actually learn a lot from other researchers and startups, or maybe even strike up a collaboration in the future. So it's very, I would say, it's a place of knowledge, and it is some place whereby you would wish to go for, to meet with other people. Yeah. So for the second award that we have as an event award, there will also be a Liveness Award, where the recipient team will receive the same prize to participate in the regional final round in Singapore this year. So there will also be other attractive prizes by our Thai and international partners, and opportunities to work with the Japanese conglomerates and super factories. So our support doesn't stop after the program. And in fact, at any point in time, alumni in our network have faced issues, and they will always contact us if they request for any support. And to our best abilities, we will definitely try to help the startups and researchers if possible. So for this one, this will be the website for registration, en.techplanta.com/entry. For more information, you can actually go onto the website below as well to understand more about the platform. So that's all for the Tech Planta program. So if you have any questions about any part of our session, please type your questions on the chat function and we will answer them. Also, if you have, if you would like to speak to us directly, you could also send an email to us via this info-asia@lnest.jp. All right. Okay, so let me just, I see some chats coming in. Okay, so there is one from Siva Babu Sandala. It says, hello, I am from AIT. I have an idea regarding agricultural field, and just an idea. So can I participate? So Siva, if you are in India right now, if you would like to participate in Thailand's round, you might have to fly in. So unless you are in Thailand, it might be difficult for you to participate. But we do not reject anyone who's from another nationality. As long as you are able to participate, if you are selected, we are fine with it. So I hope that answers your question. Okay. For our attendees, do you have any other questions? Siva, you will come back for your education, meaning, right, let me just unmute you maybe, and let's have a chat. Hello, Siva.
Yeah,
Yes. Are you in India right now?
yeah, we just went back to India.
Ah, okay. So, you are actually studying in Thailand's AIT, right?
AIT. Yeah,
Yes. So, as long as you will be coming back, it should be fine. However, if let's say you are selected as a finalist or lightning talk speaker, we hope that you will be able to join us at the event. So, right now it's still a physical event, and so if you will be able to come back to Thailand, it will be best. For our mentoring sessions and
okay,
interviews, it will be held online, so definitely will be feasible for you. In the case whereby we will be holding the event online instead of a physical event, we might be able
okay,
to still accept you as a participant. Okay, so
mm-hmm.
for that condition, we are not too sure yet because we are still monitoring the COVID-19 situation at this moment.
Yeah, but we are planning to come back in June,
Mm,
maybe if
then,
they allow.
and that definitely should be fine.
Okay,
So you can definitely apply. And if you have any questions on the application, also do let us know via the email.
okay, thank you.
Yes. Okay. So I have another question here as well. Can participants from earlier Tech Planta Thailand, which is the previous rounds, apply as a different company or project? Yes, you can. So even if you applied 2 years or just last year, you can always apply again with a different project or the same project if let's say you have a progression in that particular project that you have been doing. All right, so we don't really restrict the participation frequency because definitely we are trying to give researchers and students and startups the chances to be able to get support that they need. So I hope these answer your questions. Tokue-san, do you have any last comments?
So thank you very much for joining us today. And then, as I mentioned earlier, we are a group of people in a company situation where we are originally researchers. So if any of you are from university, which I think majority of you are today, if you have any doubts or worry about it, you can still come to us and ask any questions regarding what we are doing. Of course, if starting a startup is not your thing, you are also interested in some educations or other things, we also have opportunities for you to be involved as an internship students as well. We have our outlets in Malaysia, Singapore, as well. Thailand, we also only have demo day, but hopefully if we have enough members, maybe we can do some educations in the future as well. So if anything at all that revolves around science and technology, we will be interested to explore together with you. So make these opportunities for things to work for you. Looking forward to seeing your applications. And then if any other further questions, do let us know through emails or chat or whatever means that you can use. So that will be it from my side.